Hello everyone, my name is Luke, aka Mr. Age. Welcome back to the channel. So I've been gone for a very long time. Well, not that long, but like I have not made a discussion video in quite a long time. And the reason why is I've just been really struggling mentally. Just been going through a lot of shit mentally. Things have gotten pretty stressful around here, so just haven't really had the time or energy to make new videos, so I do apologize for that. I know you guys want content, and I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to all of my brand new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys for subscribing. I never would have ever thought I would even get this far, so it's all because of you guys. So thank you guys so very much. You guys mean the world to me, and it means a lot that you have actually subscribed to my channel. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys, every one of you, so much. Now, I want to get quickly into the topic of today's discussion video, because I've actually wanted to talk about this for a while. And other YouTubers have been talking about this, but I guess it's my turn now, you know? And this is something I want to talk about. So, as the title of the video says, I am done with Xbox. I am leaving Xbox. I'm done with Microsoft. I'm done with Xbox. And let me start by saying that this was a very tough decision to make. Very tough. I did not have any intention of wanting to leave the platform. I've been giving Xbox so many years to improve. Hell, I've been giving them time since the Xbox One era, and that was 10 years ago. The Xbox One came out in 2013. 10 years, man. I have given Microsoft and Xbox 10 plus years to make better exclusive games, and 10 years later, they're still sucking. And you know, the sad part about it, the sad part about all of this is the potential. Back in 2022, you know, last year, Xbox was actually doing pretty damn good. I'd say they were doing pretty good. And not only that, but Xbox was outselling PS5, right? Not that big of a deal. But Xbox was not just outselling PS5 here in the US as well as the UK, but they were outselling PS5 in Japan, which is where PlayStation is extremely dominant nearly 100% of the time. The fact that Xbox was outselling PS5 at one point in Japan, as well as the US and the UK, when I first read that article, I was like, yes, this is the redemption arc of Xbox. This is the generation where Xbox retakes the crown and becomes the king of console gaming once again, just like they were during the 360 era. I was so excited. Just when Xbox was pulling themselves out the mud, they fell on their face, flat on their face, and now they're sinking in the mud again. Because, yeah, in 2023, Xbox ain't doing so hot. As you guys probably already know, Redfall was probably the worst game of the year, and this pisses me off not just because I'm an Xbox fan, but it also pisses me off because we have been getting so many great games this year so far in 2023. Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, Hogwarts Legacy, Dead Island 2, just so many good games. I mean, horror games as well. Like, you guys know I'm a huge horror fan, so I was excited. I was thinking Redfall is going to be just another good game of 2023, and I was excited. Hell, I was hyped for this game the moment it was announced. And the reason why is because Redfall was right up my alley. I love co-op shooters. I love horror games. I love open world games. It's like this game was being made just for me, because everything about this game is everything I would have wanted in a game. The open world, the horror aspect, you know, because it's a vampire game. And I like how it was like Left 4 Dead, you know, because it's a co-op shooter as well. And an RPG even. I love all of those things. This game was supposed to be my game of the year. Playing that game was one of the most mentally painful experiences I have had in this year. Redfall is actually one of the reasons why I have been so stressed out. This game actually made me slightly depressed. Because this is a game that I was so hyped about and so excited about. Hell, my dumbass even brought the special edition because I was like, no way they could fuck this up. Arcane Studios, no way they could fuck this up. After making the Dishonored games, Prey, Deathloop, all those great games, there's no way they could fuck this up. And guess what? They fucked it up. They fucked it up. They fucked up my dream game. They fucked up the game that was supposed to be my perfect game of the year. And not even perfect. The game looked like Left 4 Dead to me. That's why I was so excited. It looked like Left 4 Dead with vampires and an open world. And I loved the I still love the atmosphere. Even when the game was pretty much torturing me mentally because of how bad it was, I still appreciated the vibe and atmosphere that the game had. I loved the open world. I loved the look of it. I loved the design. I loved how the vampires look. I liked the concept of the game. But everything else was just awful. Everything. The combat was clunky as fuck. The missions sucked. The upgrades didn't mean shit. And the open world was as empty as my soul. The game was fucking ass, alright? The game was as much ass as a fat woman from McDonald's. And it's as stinky as your shit after eating Taco Bell on the 4th of July and it smells like an empty firework. Just a fucking terrible game. And this, if you guys can already tell, this was basically the nail in the coffin for me. Because Xbox has disappointed me many times in the past. And if I was going to stay on Xbox, they would probably disappoint me many times in the future as well. But this was the final, this was the last straw, I guess. This was the nail in the coffin for me. I just can't take it anymore. I can't take all of these garbage ass games. You guys already know that I am someone who is very disappointed and angry about how modern games are made and how modern games are. And I guess 2023 gave me a false sense of hope. And I haven't lost that hope yet. I still am hopeful that we will get good games because, like I said, it's actually insane how good 2023 has been for video games. We have gotten so many fantastic games. For the first time, I can actually say that some of the games we are getting this year are actually worth $70. Hell, I paid $70 for Dead Island 2. I brought that on my Xbox and my PS5 because of how good Dead Island 2 was. And the same goes for Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. And that's just some of the games that have been good. Hogwarts Legacy was great as well, despite what the toxic-ass LGBTQ community wants you to think. Okay, fuck those guys. Hogwarts was a great game. RE4 was a great game. All these games were great. But I guess this is one of the reasons why Redfall disappointed me so much, because for a second, I was actually excited about games again. For just a while, I was actually hopeful about modern games again, because like I just said, I have lost a lot of faith in modern video game developers because a lot of games these days are just not made with the proper love and care that is required from a developer to actually make a good game in the first place, because you guys probably already know that as well. A bad developer cannot make a good game. Bad developers are actually incapable of making good games, because the thing about bad developers is a bad developer doesn't care about their games. They don't care about the game that they're making. The only reason why they're even making it in the first place is just to print dollars. That's all. They don't look at games like passionate projects, like actual passionate developers who actually give a shit about the games that they're actually still spending hard work to make. That's why I hate bad developers, because, you know, making a game is still extremely hard work. So that's why when I look at games that have no time or effort put into them, it makes me so fucking pissed, because even though these garbage ass developers didn't put any time or effort into them, it was still hard to make, because there's no such thing as video games being easy to make. It doesn't matter if you care about the game or not. It's still going to be very hard to make, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's why I can't stand it when these bad developers, these trash developers, these passionless developers make these garbage ass games. And it hurts me to say that Arcane Studios has turned into one of those developers, because Redfall had no passion or time or any effort put into it whatsoever. It's not just the fact that the game was a buggy piece of shit, okay? That was just the maggots on this mud-filled cake. Everything about the game was awful. Everything, nearly everything, okay? There were some slight redeeming factors about the game, but for the most part, everything was shit. Everything was dog shit. It was bigger dog shit than my dog's actual shit, and it smelled just as bad. So, Redfall was an awful game. Just awful. Quite possibly one of the worst games I have experienced in a long time. So that just makes things worse, honestly. And this is why I am fed up with Xbox. I can't take it anymore. I fucking had it. And just like I said in my previous Xbox discussion video, Microsoft has nobody to blame but themselves. And so does Phil Spencer, or whoever the fuck is in charge down there. The fact that Xbox exclusives have pretty much been garbage since the Xbox One era, and now they're still garbage during the Xbox Series X generation, it just makes things so much more disappointing. And yes, I understand what everyone's gonna say. Well, Mr. Rage, the Xbox Series X has only been out for a couple of years. Give it some time. I understand that. I understand where you're coming from, but hear me out. For the entirety of the Xbox One generation, for the Xbox One's entire generation, we didn't see any good exclusives whatsoever. Barely any good exclusives for the entirety of the Xbox One's generation. And look, I understand that, Microsoft owns Bethesda now and all that crap, but that's still not enough for me. I'm sorry, but it's just not. That's not enough for me. I love Bethesda. I love their games, but it's not going to change. It's not going to change that much. It's not going to change enough to change my mind. I don't care if Microsoft owns Bethesda. I don't care if they own Activision. I could give a fuck about Call of Duty. I hate Call of Duty. I actually think the Activision equation is probably one of the worst choices Microsoft has made. And the reason why is because of their reasons for buying Activision. The only reason why Microsoft wants Activision is for Call of Duty. And why do they want Call of Duty? Because Call of Duty is an extremely popular franchise. And the more popular a franchise, the more opportunities it has for making Microsoft a ton of money. And that is the only reason why they are after Activision and Call of Duty. They're not going to make Call of Duty better. Microsoft let 343 and the Coalition ruin Gears of War and Halo, two of the best franchises on Xbox. So do you really think they're going to give two shits about whatever Activision does to Call of Duty? You Xbox fanboys are fucking pathetic. I see all these Xbox fanboys on Twitter. Of course it's Twitter, the land of the morons, but I see all these Xbox fanboys on Twitter and even YouTube talk about how hyped they are for the Activision equation and Starfield. And we'll talk about Starfield in a minute. Hell yeah, we'll talk about Starfield in a minute. Very controversial opinion coming on that soon, but I don't care about Call of Duty. Let me ask you something. Why do you think Microsoft brought Minecraft? Because Minecraft was a very popular franchise, and now it is even more popular years after Microsoft purchased it. That is the only reason why Microsoft brought Minecraft, because of its popularity. Microsoft is doing the exact same thing here with Call of Duty and Activision. They are not after Call of Duty and Activision to make the company better. They are only after Activision and Call of Duty because they want to make money off of its popularity. That is the only reason why Microsoft is after Activision and Call of Duty. For no other reason. Yeah, sure, they'll own Activision's other IPs as well, but Microsoft doesn't care about those other IPs. To Microsoft, it's just an opportunity for more money. That's all. That's literally all. They're only after Call of Duty. Okay, Microsoft can give a shit about the other IPs. At least that's what I think. And again, like I said in my previous video, one of the biggest reasons why Xbox is garbage is because of Xbox Studios. The company that makes their games. Xbox Studios is garbage. Xbox Studios makes some of the worst games, right? And what pisses me off the most is Phil Spencer and Microsoft themselves, because don't tell me that they can't see how bad their games are. They know that their games suck. But you see, Microsoft doesn't care. And the reason why they don't care is because of Game Pass. Why should Microsoft care? Like, why should Microsoft care about their exclusives when all of them go on Game Pass anyways? And Game Pass is obviously extremely cheap. It's very affordable. Hell, if Africans could afford stable internet, they could probably pay for Game Pass. So, pretty much anyone could get Game Pass, whether you're financially secure or not, okay? Because it's extremely cheap. And this is why Microsoft probably doesn't care about... if it's any other reason, I don't know. The only explanation I have is Game Pass. That's the only thing I'm assuming here. If there's another reason why Microsoft and Phil Spencer don't care about their fucking exclusives, I don't know what that reason is. I have no clue, okay? This is just my assumption here. But the reason why I think it's Game Pass is because, well, like I said, anyone could get Game Pass, so this pretty much means that Xbox exclusives are almost free. Because since Game Pass is so dirt cheap, anyone could play their exclusives for free. And the thing about Microsoft is the reason why they don't care about their exclusives, or, you know, their studios, the studios that make their exclusives, the reason why they don't care about their studios is because they just want more games to add to Game Pass. They don't care about actually having their studios make quality games. They don't care about love and passion and time and effort, which are the main requirements for making good games in the first place. Hell, they don't even care if their games are even finished. Like, so many Xbox exclusives come out of the oven not only half-baked, but they still feel raw. It's like going to a restaurant and getting a steak that's only slightly cooked. The damn fucking thing is still moving on the plate. I mean, they're not just bad games. They're unfinished cash grabs filled with microtransactions. Hell, even the best modern franchise on Xbox, which is Forza Horizon, even Forza Horizon franchise has lots of microtransactions. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this is why Microsoft doesn't care. Because to Microsoft, they just need more games to add to Game Pass. They don't care what the games are like, as long as they have a new game or games to add to Game Pass. They don't care about the games that are being made. They don't care if they're made with passion or not. You see, Hi-Fi Rush is a very, very, almost a perfect example of what I'm trying to say here. The reason why Hi-Fi Rush was so good is not because of Microsoft's influence. Hi-Fi Rush was a good game because it was made by good developers. Phil Spencer and Microsoft had absolutely no influence on Hi-Fi Rush whatsoever. Microsoft pretty much got lucky with Hi-Fi Rush. And they got lucky that Tango Gameworks was actually good developers, which they still are. You know, Tango Gameworks, probably one of the best studios that Bethesda has. You know, Tango Gameworks might actually end up being the saving grace of Xbox, because all of their games have pretty much been great. You know, Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, Hi-Fi Rush, all those games were great. So Tango Gameworks is a good developer. They're a good studio, good people down there, you know, working on their games. So that's why Hi-Fi Rush was a good game, because Microsoft got lucky, because Tango Gameworks they're good developers. The company is ran by good people, not just good developers, but good people. You know, I've seen some of their videos, and the developers at Tango Gameworks, they seem like genuinely good people as well, especially if they're actually making these great games. So Tango Gameworks is great. I mean, if Microsoft had more studios like Tango Gameworks, then maybe their exclusives wouldn't be as dog shit as they are, because developers like Tango Gameworks, those are good developers because they make good games. And like I said earlier, bad developers cannot make good games. But let me tell you something. A passionate developer that actually loves the game as much as us, the gamer, that's the type of developer that will always come out with a good game. Because good games are made with passion. They're made with passion. They're made with love and care. And they're made with time and effort. Like, not only are they good games, but they're also made with time, you know, because it takes time to make good games because of how hard it is to make games in the first place. So they're made with so much love, nothing but love. You know, that's what makes a good game. That is the only thing that can make good games. Only good developers that actually love the game themselves, besides us, can make good games. And, I'll admit, Obsidian Entertainment, Obsidian is a good developer as well. The Outer Worlds, Grounded, those are some good games. The best developers or studios that Microsoft owns is Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Playground Games, Tango Gamers from Bethesda. I really want to say Arcane. I really do. But Redfall was so bad. I don't even know if I could include Arcane. But yeah, those are some of Microsoft's good studios. Oh, and of course Undead Labs. Those are the only studios that Microsoft has that are actually good developers, because those studios have made fairly good games. So those developers are okay. They're okay. Especially Obsidian. I'm excited for Obsidian's next game. I'll admit. Like, when I get my PC soon, I'll definitely be playing Obsidian's next game because it does look interesting. I hope to God Microsoft doesn't fuck it up again. And, I'm also glad that Playground is making Fable 4. Fable 4 coming back, I'll try and keep my hopes up. I'll try and remain positive. But you see, that's another problem I have with Xbox. Xbox cannot even make a new successful franchise. You look at PlayStation, and PlayStation has had successful franchises that have been successful since the PlayStation 2 era, like God of War, for example. God of War, Uncharted, those franchises have been successful since the PS2 era. And years later on the PS5, they're still successful. Meanwhile, Microsoft and Xbox, Gears of War, Halo, and Fable all died after the third game in their franchises, which is kind of ironic. Halo died after Halo 3, Gears died after Gears 3, and Fable died after Fable 3, and they all died during the 360 era. Microsoft can't even make a new successful franchise. I mean, how are they even supposed to? Like, how can you make a successful franchise if you can't even make a successful game in the first place? And every game since the Xbox One era has been unsuccessful, more than unsuccessful, trash. Honestly, the only good Xbox exclusives we've gotten, and these are not even Series X games, the only good Xbox exclusives we have right now, from the Xbox One era, might I add, Dead Rising 3, Titanfall 1, which I don't even think is available anymore, Rise Son of Rome, Quantum Break, Sunset Overdrive, which is now ironically owned by Sony. And Rare Replay. Rare Replay was a very decent game. Rare Replay was very. I'm not a huge old school guy, but me and my dad enjoyed it, so Rare Replay was all right. Ever since those games, though, we have not had any good, successful Xbox exclusives since then. And another thing that really pisses me off is this focus on multiplayer games only. Microsoft and Xbox have not been very nice to the single-player genre. Games like Sea of Thieves, Bleeding Edge, which is pretty much a dead game because of how bad it was, and Crossfire X, which was actually removed because of how bad it was. Why so many multiplayer games, Microsoft? Why so many multiplayer-only games? Well, you know what? I think I already know the answer. Because when it comes to multiplayer games, it's a lot easier to add microtransactions in those types of games. Because the thing about multiplayer games is most of the time, these are live service games. And live service games pretty much means that these are games that are always online and they always get updates. They're basically not even full games. They basically sell you half the game, and then they'll sell you later parts of the game later on in the future with DLC updates. And games like Sea of Thieves and Bleeding Edge, which again is Bleeding Edge is not even around anymore. That game is dead. And why do you think it died? Because these multiplayer games are trash. Sea of Thieves is an awful game. And you see, the thing is, live service games don't even have to be that bad. I mean, Dying Light 2, as well as the first Dying Light, I think you could say that those games were somewhat live service. Except for it wasn't always online, though. But those games did always receive DLC updates years after their release. So live service games are not even that bad sometimes. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. But Microsoft's or Xbox exclusive multiplayer games like Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is not a good game at all. All right, for those of you who like it, I'm glad you do. But for me, it's not a good game. It's way too grindy. The multiplayer is not very interesting. The gameplay actually is pretty boring, to be honest. It was not interesting to me at all. And, you know, like I said, this is another thing that really pisses me off about Xbox. Why are we putting so much focus on multiplayer games? If you want to have some multiplayer games, fine. That's fine, but Microsoft Studios cannot even make a successful multiplayer game. Not only have all their single-player games fallen, but even their multiplayer games suck. Crossfire X was so bad, it literally got removed. And that game was made by Remedy. It's like every studio that Microsoft approaches to make them a good exclusive game, they always fuck up. It's like Xbox is cursed because Remedy is obviously a good developer. And Crossfire X was terrible. You know? Like Arcane, for example. Arcane makes good games. But the minute they have to make an Xbox exclusive, it sucked. And the saying goes for Remedy. Remedy's games were good, but when they're making an Xbox exclusive, it sucked. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? I just now realized that. I just now realized that fact. Every time a good studio who makes good games is tasked with making an Xbox exclusive, it always ends up sucking. It's like Xbox has a fucking bad exclusive death curse. Jesus Christ. Even what was that one game called? Dead Rising 4. Even Dead Rising 4 sucked. And that was an Xbox exclusive as well, at least for a while until it came to PS4. But yeah, anyways, yeah, this is another reason why Xbox sucks. There's way too much emphasis on multiplayer games only. And like I said, the reason why Microsoft probably likes multiplayer games so much is because it's easier to add microtransactions in these types of games. I mean, multiplayer games are infamous for having microtransactions because the thing about multiplayer games is since multiplayer games are always getting, you know, updated and stuff, you could very easily add microtransactions to the updates, you know, because it's pretty much live service. So that's probably why Microsoft and Xbox likes multiplayer games much more than single-player games, because people get really pissy when you add microtransactions to a single-player game. Looking at you, Far Cry and Ubisoft. Fuck you guys too. But yeah, that's another thing that pisses me off about Xbox, because you see, the thing about me is I'm not a huge fan of multiplayer games. You know, I really like to immerse myself, and it's kind of hard to do that if it's a multiplayer game only. So yeah, not too big on multiplayer. So, yeah, and again, the second thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that I just hate how Phil Spencer doesn't care about the quality of Xbox exclusives. And, you know, if we're talking about Starfield, I don't care about Starfield. And look, I understand that Phil Spencer came out and was like, yeah, even I thought Redfall sucked. I don't believe that he's really going to do anything, all right? I feel like Phil Spencer, I feel like he's in damage control mode. And the reason why he's in damage control is because Redfall was such a bad game that even people on Game Pass did not want to, even people on Game Pass didn't want it. I mean, the game is dying already. And it hasn't received updates for quite a while. It received a couple of small bug patches, but that's not the problem with Redfall. You can give it as much patches as you like. The game is garbage. That's why the game is bad. It's not bad because it has bugs. I mean, yeah, that's also why it's bad, but the game is bad because it is a bad game. The game itself is bad. And that's why Phil Spencer is in damage control mode, because Redfall is actually the worst Xbox exclusive ever made. Even Halo Infinite, as well as Gears 5, and even Scorn, which was a really piss-poor horror game, not even those games were as bad as Redfall. So I feel like right now, Phil Spencer is in damage control because the game is so bad that even people on Game Pass don't want it. So I don't believe Phil Spencer, you know? It's hard to believe someone until they've actually done the thing that they're saying they're going to do. And until I see a change, I don't believe it. You know, until Microsoft and Xbox change, I don't give a fuck what Phil Spencer say. Phil Spencer could say that Xbox is going to make the best game since Red Dead 2. I'm not going to believe that shit. I'm not going to believe anything until I see it for myself. And to be honest, I don't have high hopes for Redfall. I mean, not Redfall, Starfield. I do not have high hopes for Starfield. Am I saying the game is going to suck? No, because that would be stupid to assume. But I think it might suck. I mean, it's hard to say. I'm just saying it might suck, all right? And I wouldn't be surprised if it did. It might suck. And if it does suck, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope it doesn't suck. I'm not saying it's going to suck, but it might. That's all I'm saying. I think it might suck. You know? Not trying to contradict myself here, but I'm just saying, like, I don't have any faith in it whatsoever. I mean, the thing about Bethesda is Bethesda has been lying about their games since Fallout 3. I remember when they said how good Fallout 76 was going to be, talking about all this great stuff that was going to be in there, and how great the game was going to be, and how big it was going to be, and, you know, then when the game came out, it was, you know, garbage. So, I don't trust Bethesda at all. The only studio I trust from Bethesda, especially after Arcane fucked up, is Tango. You know, whenever Tango, like, whatever Tango's next game is going to be, I'll probably get it. You know, I'll probably keep my Series X just for Tango, you know, because Tango Gameworks are very good developers. And man, the fact that Arcane fucked up with Redfall, and you see, Redfall actually proves my point. The fact that Microsoft even allowed Arcane to release Redfall in the state it was in is proof that they don't give a shit about the studios that are producing their games. Because not only was Redfall a bad game, but when it came out, it was filled to the brim with bugs and glitches and a plethora of other issues. The game was actually unplayable for some people, specifically PC users, which Microsoft is trying to appeal to, you know, because no one's going to buy an Xbox for their exclusives. So PC players are almost the only people who are still going to buy Xbox exclusives in the first place, since barely anyone is going to buy an Xbox anyways. So, yeah, Redfall is proof that Microsoft doesn't care about their studios, and they don't care how their studios are making their games. And, you know, honestly, they could change so easily. All Microsoft has to do is tell their studios, not just one studio, but all of their studios, to make better games. That's all you gotta do. Just tell your studios to make better games. Give a shit for just a minute. Don't you actually want Game Pass to have good games? Let me tell y'all something. No one is going to subscribe to Game Pass if the games on there are piss poor quality. No one. What's the point of Game Pass if the games on there are trash? You might as well actually go out and spend money on games that are actually worth the money in the first place. No one is subscribing to Game Pass if the games on there are not even good in the first place. It makes Game Pass lose its value, and it also makes Game Pass look bad in general. Because nothing is worse than a subscription service that doesn't offer good benefits from the actual service. And those benefits come from the games that are supposed to be on there. And if the games on there are garbage, no one is going to want Game Pass anymore. I mean, Redfall, as well as Crossfire X and Scorn, look, I'll be honest with you. First impressions of Xbox Series X, it doesn't look good. Because every Xbox Series X exclusive we have seen during the Series X generation has been garbage. Halo Infinite, Scorn, Crossfire X, now Redfall. These games, first impressions, these games look like trash. And it doesn't look like Microsoft is going to change. And the reason why I'm saying that is because why didn't they change during the Xbox One era? Why is it for the entirety of the Xbox One generation? Why didn't they change then? Why didn't Phil Spencer come out during the Xbox One era shitty games and say, hey, our games suck, but don't worry, we'll make them better? Why didn't Phil Spencer say that during the Xbox One generation? Why is it that during the Xbox One generation, the games were still garbage? Why didn't Phil Spencer address the issue then? Why now? Why does he only address the issue now? Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you motherfuckers why. Because Phil Spencer is in damage control mode. Because if people start leaving the platform, then no one is going to play Starfield except for PC players. That is the only reason why Phil Spencer, just now, years after all of this bullshit on Xbox, he actually addressed the bullshit itself. Because he's in damage control mode. Microsoft themselves, they're in general, they're in damage control mode. Because if people start leaving Xbox now, then they'll lose even more money when Starfield comes out. And they've already lost me, alright? They've already lost me because I'm not excited for Starfield, nor do I want to play it. I don't care about Starfield. And honestly, I know I just said I don't think it's going to suck, but you know what? It's probably going to suck. There. I said it. Kill me. Come to my house and kill me. That's right. I said it sucks. The game isn't even out yet, but fuck it. Fuck it. The reason why I'm saying that is because every Xbox exclusive that has come out before Starfield has been garbage. So why are we making an exception here? Like, why is Starfield the exception? Why is this the saving grace of Xbox? Yes, I understand that you can't call it trash yet, but can you really call it good yet either? Like, all you guys that are hyped for the game, I would recommend you wait a little bit. You know, don't get your hopes up too high. You know, don't get your hopes up too high yet. But yeah, I don't think Xbox is gonna change. I really don't. I really don't. And you know, I hope they don't screw up Fable 4. I hope they don't fuck up Fable 4. Fable 4 is made by Playground Games, and well, Playground Games has only made car racing games, I think. So I don't know. Playground has only made the Forza games, so giving them Fable, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. And you know, again, I forgot to talk about this issue. Microsoft cannot even make a successful franchise. We have not had a new franchise on Xbox since the 360 era, when Microsoft's franchises actually started dying out. Because, like I said a little earlier ago, Gears of War, as well as Halo, Fable, and even Crackdown, those franchises all died after the 360 era. They died when they came to the Xbox One. Gears died when Gears of War 4 and 5 came out. Halo died when Halo 5 and Infinite came out. And Crackdown died after Crackdown 3. And there hasn't been a new Crackdown game for ages as well. So that's even worse. I mean, that's honestly even worse. I mean, because during the Xbox 360 generation, Xbox had it all during the 360 generation. They had successful franchises because, you know, they actually had good, successful games. So, of course, they had successful franchises. They had a good console. The online was good. They didn't even need Xbox Game Pass. During the 360 generation, Microsoft didn't even need a subscription service. Hell, Microsoft probably made Xbox Game Pass because even they know how bad their exclusives are. But yeah, it's I'm done waiting, man. Like, I'm done waiting. What pisses me off the most is how easy it is. Because like I just said, all Microsoft has to do is actually take control of the studios and that they own. They own their studios. Obviously Microsoft owns Xbox Game Studios, and Phil Spencer is the fucking CEO. He's in full control. He's the CEO, for fuck's sake. So why is it that he looks at his games that come from his studios and he thinks to himself, oh yeah, they're good games, they're not bad? They're not. Like, this man is delusional. He's fucking delusional. Either he's delusional or he doesn't care, like I'm assuming. He doesn't care, because that's not the business practice. The business practice is to get more games on Game Pass. That is Microsoft's business practice. More games on Game Pass, whether those games are good or not. Because if the games are bad, it's okay, because they're on Game Pass anyways. You can play them for free, so who cares if they're bad? So yeah, I'm done with Xbox. I'm done with this platform. I didn't even care about Bethesda anymore. You know, Fallout be damned, Skyrim be damned. I don't care. The only franchise I'll miss from Bethesda is probably The Evil Within. I'll miss The Evil Within, and I'll miss Prey. You know, because Prey was a good game from Arcane as well. I hope Arcane redeems themselves. I hope that Microsoft and Phil Spencer actually get their goddamn bloated heads out their fucking ass and actually wake up for fuck's sake and say, like, hey, we gotta start doing something because our games are shit and our customers are getting angry about it. You know, because I've already left the platform for that reason. I'm tired of Microsoft trying to sell me these garbage-ass games. I'm done. Maybe I'll return to Xbox one day, but for now, I'm done. I've had it. I'm done with Xbox. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I surely did. This was it was fun making another discussion video for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck by till the end, I really appreciate that. I also want to give a quick update on the future of the channel once again. I am pleased to say that I will be getting a Apple MacBook as well as a capture card. So I should be able to start making gameplay videos for you guys, hopefully. So yeah, the channel looks good. Again, thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you guys so very much. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks once again for watching, and yeah, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next discussion, rant video, or just the next video in general. This was Luke, aka Mr. Rage, signing off. Take care, y'all. Peace.